Hey guys, what's up? This is Mark from My Primal Being, and welcome to a somewhat jittery Mindset Monday. There's a squirrel in front of me. Sorry. Anyways, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the idea of sacrifice. And this is a big one because whenever it comes to making a lifestyle change, a lot of people tend to talk about making sacrifices. You gotta make sacrifices in order to see the changes that you want to see. From my experience as a normal human being and having trained a couple of people, here's my biggest problem with the idea of sacrifice. More often than not, I find that as a trainer, the biggest thing that I really have to do is to stop y'all from running yourselves ragged and slamming your heads into the wall. Sacrifice doesn't mean killing yourself in order to achieve whatever goal you're trying to get at. It means, and feel free to tell me otherwise, it means reallocation of your time, energy, and resources, which usually comes down to energy and time, because most of those things lead up to the amount of resources you'll have. Now, the reason why I say this is because it's so easy for people to just go in the gym and kill themselves, and I know that makes no sense at first blush to say that it's easy to kill yourself at the gym, but in reality, what I've found as a trainer is that most of the time I spend is getting you to stop, slow down, and take it easy, which is huge because next to whatever it is that you're shooting down your throat and fueling yourself with, the other most critical aspect of fitness and nutrition is the amount of rest and relaxation that you have. And frankly, we just don't get a whole lot of it. Between all the work that we put in trying to run the rat race and the number of hours we spend at night restlessly tossing and turning in bed, or not even going to sleep because we're spending that time going out, watching TV, hanging by the light of our portable devices, such as this iPhone that I'm using to record you guys on, we really don't get a whole lot of real restful sleep. And it isn't a point of pride or an indication of your abilities and strength to say, I didn't sleep today, I only got 2 hours of sleep, or I am absolutely hammered and I'm still hungover, but I'm gonna make it through the day. And saying make it through the day implies that you're already destroying yourself. You're sacrificing in a completely negative way. And you need to do it in a more productive, more progressive way that leads to growth and progress. So what does this mean? It means, first of all, this is huge, put down your phone, your iPad, your laptop, close it, turn it off, put it away, go to bed. I think from my recent research, the average American gets about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, if that, in any given night. And that needs to change. Ideally, it should be closer to 9, 10, maybe even 12 in a pitch black room. Now, there's a very particular reason why I say pitch black room. Try sleeping in the middle of the day, out in the sun. How much real restful sleep will you get? Now, before you all act like smartasses and give me some ridiculous answer, I want you to realize that there is a very scientific, there's that word, scientific reason why you need to sleep in a dark room. I'm going to make sure I give you the the references for this, but there was actually some research done in which a guy was in a almost entirely dark room except for one point of light that was pointed at the back of his knee. And the thing is, there are processes in our body, there are actually sensors in our blood, crazy, that tell us that it's still light out, and even the slightest little bit of light can hamper real fulfilling. Sorry about that, we got cut off. Anyways, so get some sleep in a dark ass room, because if you do this, you'll actually get proper growth hormone production, which means that the sleep you get will be restful, and you'll heal up and be ready for the next day. Get sleep. Now, for eating, it's all too common for people to say eating healthy is expensive. It's not that expensive. You're just spending your money on crap. Yep, I said it. You spend your money on shit, and you gotta stop doing that. When you reappropriate your funds to the right places, you actually find that you'll be spending less money on medicine also. This is because food is meant to not only nourish you and feed you, it's also supposed to keep you healthy. One very simple example of this, a very specific anecdotal example for most people, is the amount of hot foods you can get. The reason why you get the trots the next day, you have to run to the bathroom, or in very extreme cases like me, the reason why this happens is because it's irritating to your stomach. You're not supposed to eat that in those amounts. Now, I know you're gonna give me the spiel about how we have to be, that you don't want to be deprived and you want to eat all these amazing foods that the world has to offer. Yes, you do that, but treat it as if you're drinking. Now, of course, what happens to people who drink too goddamn much? They turn into alcoholics. It becomes a problem, and society looks down on it. The problem with food is nobody really looks down on you choking down a habanero. It's a different story altogether, because nobody realizes the implications that that has on your stomach. I know, very controversial, but that's just the truth. Another one of these is, and this has been growing lately, is gluten-containing foods. Now, you've noticed there's all these products on the shelves nowadays that have gluten-free slapped on them, amongst other things. And there is a semblance, there is a degree of truth to that, unfortunately, because food companies will capitalize on whatever is popular and in vogue at the moment. They'll take any other ingredient that they can whip together to make something at the very least seem gluten-free, so they could get a piece of that market. And what this boils down to is reallocating your time to focusing on foods that actually matter, and taking the time, I don't know, 2 to 5 seconds to look on the back of a rest of the ingredients label. It's really not that hard. You went through 12 years of basic school and reading. Use it. Look on the back of those labels and find out if it does contain certain things like wheat. Because as much as you may not be celiac, as much as you may not have digestive issues right now, there are other little indications and signs that, well, would be way too broad for me to go into in this one particular video to address as far as your particular problems. And it takes a matter of understanding and really feeling out what your body is trying to tell you. I know, that sounds very spiritual. It's not based in science. Unfortunately, most of the science that we have is very inconsistent. And most of the medical science that's out there is, for the lack of a better word, crap. And I'll make sure to go into more depth on that stuff later in a different video. Anyways, like I said, sacrifice doesn't mean slamming your head into a wall. It doesn't mean going and spending 3 to 4 hours a day, every single day, in the gym. It doesn't mean sacrificing your health for the sake of fitness, because fitness and physical aesthetics does not equal health. Unfortunately, we're a very shallow and superficial race. We as humans do still consider looks as the marker for optimal living. And just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. There are plenty of skinny people in very impoverished countries who will disagree with this point and will tell you that it's ridiculous to assume that. Now, I don't want to get into a debate about all that. I don't want to get into this conversation of there are people starving in this and that country. It's true, but that's not what I'm trying to say here. And you certainly don't want to use that as an example for the sacrifice that you're making to reach your goals. It just means that you have to reprioritize everything. You have to look at where your money is going. You have to really look at where your time and your energy is going. Because health and fitness is supposed to be intuitive. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to make logical common sense. It shouldn't be that complicated. It shouldn't mean running yourself through walls in order to achieve optimal health. And a lot of those markers don't necessarily jive with the perceptions that the world is putting out in front of you. Just because you see your favorite celebrity on TV choking down vinegar or drinking lemons, it doesn't mean that that's the way to go. You're smarter than that. Use your brain. Alright? Well, this has gone on long enough. I'll speak to you guys later. Bye.